my channel today. This is SEAMRITE by P. Today's lesson is going to teach you how to draft a well-fitted basic bodice pattern. Please, if you find this video helpful, like, share to family and friends, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell to receive more videos like this. The figures on the screen demonstrate how you are going to take your body measurements. But for this pattern today, I'm going to make use of these measurements. I added 1 inch ease to my bust circumference, having 40 inches now, and ½ inch ease to my waist circumference, and I'm having 36 inches now. So I'm going to work with these two figures for my bust circumference and my waist circumference. So let's start. I am going to create my shoulder line. This is your shoulder line. Step 2, I'm going to transfer the highest point of the shoulder to the waist measurement for the back, which is 16 inches, starting right from the shoulder line. As you can see, you make a mark, 16 inches. And then you draw a vertical line from that. Then from that point, you square your line. This is your waistline. Then I'm going to transfer my across shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 7.5 inches on the shoulder line, as you can see. Next, I'm going to drop my shoulder slope of 1 inch. From this very point, I'm going to place my tape this way and take my shoulder seam length measurement, which is 4.5 inches, and I'll make a mark. The very next thing I'm going to do is to transfer the measurement of my center back waist length, which is 15 inches, starting from the waistline. I'm going to take 15 inches upwards, and then I'll make a mark. Then with my French curve, I'm going to connect these 2 points, and that is my back neckline. Remember that I took my measurement of my shoulder seam length this way from this point where my shoulder drops as 4.5 inches. So I'm going to connect these 2 lines to form my shoulder seam length. The next step is going to be the depth of my armhole. And to get the depth of my armhole, I'm going to divide my armhole measurement into 2. And I'll be having 8 inches. So I'm going to place my tape on the point that my shoulder drops. Then I will mark 8 inches, as you can see. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to connect these 2 lines from where the shoulder drops down to the depth of my armhole depth. So the next thing I'm going to do is to square my line. This is my chest line. Then I'm going to find the midpoint of my arm side, which is 4 inches. Then at this point, I'm going to go in by 1/4 of an inch, because the across back measurement is slightly narrower than the across shoulder measurement. Remember that I'm working with the new bust circumference that has an ease. So because I'm working on the 1/4 of my body, I'm going to divide these figures by 4. So when I divide 40 by 4, I'll be having 10 inches. Then for my waist circumference, if I divide 36 by 4, I'll be having 9 inches. So I'm going to transfer these measurements to my chest line. So I'm going to transfer the bust circumference, the new bust circumference divided by 4, which is 10 inches, to my chest line. So as you can see, I'm going to take 10 inches. But because the back is slightly narrower, I'm going to take off 1/4 of an inch, which is 9 3/4. Then I'll make a mark. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to connect my armhole, my back armhole, using my French cuff. So I'm going to place my ruler this way to touch these points. Now you can see I've connected the line with my French cuff. So now we are going to go over to my waistline. I'm going to take 1/4 of my waistline, which is now 9 inches on this line, as you can see. Then I'm going to take away 1/4 of an inch, so I'll be left with 8.75 inches. That is 8 3/4. Then we will have to now go over to the dart leg. So to get the dart leg, I'm going to divide my bust span. My bust span, that is the measurement of my nipple to nipple, which is 7 inches. I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'll be having 3.5 inches. So I'll place my ruler this way and make a mark, 3.5. Then I'll go up to the chest line. I'll also make another mark, 3.5. Then with my ruler, I'm going to connect this line. So I've connected the span, my bust span measurement divided by 2 from the chest line to the waistline. So to create the dart leg, I'm going to make use of 1 inch, which is standard. So I'm going to divide this 1 inch into 2, standard for the back bodies. So I'll be marking 0.5 inches, 0.5 inches. Then from this chest line for the back, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. So from this point, I'm going to connect the 0.5 inches. Alright guys, so you can see I've connected the dart leg now for the back bodies. So remember that I took 1 inch for the darts, and I'm going to replace this 1 inch to the side seam. Okay, so remember that the waistline measurement is now 8 3/4. So 8 3/4 from that point I marked, I'm going to add 1 inch for the dart. Then I'm going to extend my line, as you can see. So I've replaced the 1 inch for the darts, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect these 2 lines from my chest line down to the waistline. So we have created the back bodies. So I'm going to write back. So we are going to go over to the front bodice. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to transfer the measurement of the highest point of my shoulder to waist, which is 18 inches. From this point, I'll be marking 18 inches. Then I will draw my line to that. So from that point, I'm going to square my line. This is my center back, and this is my center front. Then I'm going to transfer my across shoulder for the front divided by 2, which is supposed to be 7.5 inches. But because the across shoulder for the front is a little bit narrower than the back, so I'm going to take away 1/4 of an inch. Please take note of this. Remember that when we measured this, we took the across back shoulder of 7.5 inches, as you can see. But for the front, we are having 7.25 because the front is a little bit narrower than the back. This is very important. So from that point, I'm going to drop my shoulder. That's the shoulder slope of 1 inch. Then the next thing I'm going to do, from the waistline, I'm going to transfer the measurements of my center front waist length, which is 15 inches, from the waistline, so as to get my front neckline. So I'll be making this mark here. Remember, from this point I dropped my shoulder in the front. I'm going to place my tape this way to get my shoulder seam length, which is 4.5 inches. So I'm going to make a mark here. Then I'm going to connect my line also. With my French curve, I'm going to place my French curve from this point to this point to get my front neckline. Then I'm going to extend my chest line from the back bodice to the front bodice because they are on the same line. Then from this point I drop my shoulder. I'm going to place my ruler. Then I'm going to connect my line. This is my armhole depth measurement, which is 8 inches. So I'm going to find the midpoint. Then at this midpoint, I'm going to go in by 3/4 of an inch. This is my chest line for the front and my waistline. On the chest line, I'm going to transfer the measurement of my new bust circumference. That is 40 divided by 4 because I'm working on 1/4 of my bodice, and I'll be having 10 inches. At this point, I'm going to make a mark of 10 inches. But because the front bodice is a little bit bigger than the back bodice, remember when we measured the back bodice, I took away 1/4 of an inch. But in this case, I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch, as you can see. Then I'll make my mark. And at this point, I'm going to join my line to that point. So I'm transferring my bust apex measurement from the shoulder. So from my shoulder line, I'm going to take 10.5 inches. Then I'm going to draw a horizontal line. And this is my bust point. Then we are going to go over to the waistline now to determine the dart leg. So remember that the bust span measurement is 7 inches. That is the measurement from your nipple to your nipple divided by 2. I'll be having 3.5 inches. Then I'm going to make a mark at 3.5 inches. Go over to my waistline and make another mark of 3.5 inches. Then I'm going to connect these two lines. So for a small cup size, 1 inch is very much okay for a small cup size. But for a large cup size, I'm going to make use of 1.5 inches. So I'm going to share 1.5 into 2 places. That is 0.5 this way and 0.5 inch this way. Then coming to the bust point, that is your bust apex, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. If you are small cup, you can come down by 1 inch, is very much okay. Some can come by 1.5 or even 2 inches. But for this pattern today, I'm going to make use of 1.5 inches. So I'm making my mark here. Then with my ruler, I'm going to connect this line. And from this point, I'm going to take my line to this point. That serves for my bust, that leg for the front. Now going back to the waist. Remember that my new waist circumference is 36 because I'm working on 1/4 of my bodice in the front. I'm going to divide it by 4, which is 9 inches. So I'm placing my tape to 9 inches. Then remember that I added 1/4 of an inch here. So I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch in my waistline because my front bodice is usually bigger than the back bodice. So I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch, as you can see. Then remember that I added 1.5 inches for my dart leg. So I'm going to transfer this 1.5 back to this 1.5, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect this line to this line. So you remember that on the armhole depth, I found the midpoint, and from that point I took 3/4 of an inch in. Now I'm going to use my French curve to connect this line from here, this point from here down to my chest line. As you can see, that serves as my armhole for the front. At this point, I know you'll be wondering why the front bodice is bigger than the back bodice. Remember that our highest point of the shoulder to the waist measurement for the back is 16 inches, and the highest point of the shoulder for the front to the waist is 18 inches. So when you take away 18 from 16, you'll be left with 2 inches. So that 2 inches is longer because of the bust. So now I'm going to place my tape on the bust point. Then I'm going to mark downwards 2 inches. Then from the bust apex, I'm going to take, remember I took 1.5. I'm also going to take 1.5 from the bust point, as you can see, backwards. Then with my ruler, I'm going to connect from that point down to the 2 inches mark at the back. So this is my bust dart. Okay, so by the time we add our seam allowance and close up this bust dart, definitely this front bodice is going to come up to the back body, so you can join the sides. So guys, in my next video I'm going to show you how to add your seam allowances and close up your bust dart as well. So if you find this video helpful, please like, share, to your friends and family, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so as to receive the next video. Bye.